Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to ThePackHub's latest packaging webinar, Food Packaging Innovations. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. My name, if those are not familiar to me or ThePackHub, my name is Paul Jenkins, and I'm Managing Director of ThePackHub. Today, I'm joined by Uli Jose, Product Manager at Micvac, and also Andrew Stirling, Managing Director of Stirling Potatoes. So we've got a real supply chain conversation today. So in terms of the agenda, a little bit about the ThePackHub to set the scene for those of you that don't know us and to familiarize ourselves with those that do. As always, we're going to split the session into two innovation parts. So we're going to have a part one looking at some food packaging innovations from our patent zone and innovation zone platforms. We'll then break for a presentation from Micvac and Stirling Potatoes around the big opportunity for less processed ready meals. They've got Micvac have got a really fantastic technology, which hopefully you'll be very interested to hear more about. We'll then switch back to more food packaging innovations in the last sort of third of the webinar, and then we'll have an opportunity, 15 to 20 minutes at the end, to have a Q&A, so you can ask all the questions that you would need to Micvac and Stirling Potatoes about their technology. As always, there's the opportunity to ask those questions through the Q&A box panel on the Zoom platform. So please get your questions in. The more there is, the better the webinar will be for everybody. So if anything you don't understand or want to ask it, please make sure you ask those questions. So about ThePackHub, we're an internationally respected packaging innovation consultancy built on the foundation of our Innovation Zone platform, our database. This is growing nicely, now over 11,000 case studies built over the last 10 years. We're uploading 33 new innovations every week, about 1,600 a year across food, beverage, health and beauty, consumer goods, etc. We've got a sister product called the Patent Zone, which has been going for nearly 2 years. And there we have over 1,600 interesting packaging patents from around the world. So a good opportunity to inspire and come up with great ideas. The reason I'm mentioning those two is everything we do is centered around the insights that we get from the Innovation Zone and Patent Zone. So all the initiatives that I'll be presenting have been researched through those platforms. We also have an innovation services department managed by our innovation director, Katie Rosler, so on hand to help with a whole host of packaging challenges. I've also recently launched a packaging training academy. There are 8 training courses online now, covering things like refill barrier, an introduction to packaging, etc. And we'll be doing a lot more in 2026 and beyond. That's the team. So a few of those, hopefully, you will recognize. And now let's look at this. While you're really here, let's look at some innovations. So those that are familiar to the ThePackHub, we always try and segment the presentation into meaningful packaging trend themes. And I'm focusing on sustainable packaging, food packaging trends today around refill and reuse, paperization, bio-based materials, reduction strategies, and recycling and recycled content. So the first one to tackle is refill and reuse systems. I've got 4 innovations and a summary for each one. So the first one is, first thing to say about refill and reuse, we're seeing a huge variety of different initiatives. And what I've tried to do is really give you some very different examples, like a primary packaging, secondary packaging, across different categories. So the first one is from the LA, a brand called News, and they've launched a refillable packaging solution for its new line of functional wellness mints, offering a portable alternative to traditional supplement formats. The mints are packaged in durable, minimalist metal tins, so sort of giving the consumer that sort of premium feel, designed for long-term use, supported by a refill system that uses pouches to replenish the product. So this is a category that has been classically single use in the past, and it's asking to change consumer behavior and have this tin with a fantastic embossing at the bottom, something you would keep for a significant amount of time. So unlike typical single-use supplement containers, News's model reduces overall packaging waste through a closed-loop refill system. Customers can purchase refill packs separately, which in themselves are lighter and generate less material per use cycle than conventional plastic supplement jars or blister packs. I guess the challenge here is how many times will that pack be reused. Obviously, it's all about getting the pack to be reused as much as possible to make it as advantageous to the environment as possible. Next up, a completely different type of reuse initiative is from France, called PandaPack, and they offer a reusable crate solution. Nothing majorly amazing about having reusable crates, but we are moving away from single-use examples in the supply chain to a reusable system enabled by AI and technology for tracking and supply chain efficiency. So PandaPack's reusable containers are designed to meet both functional and regulatory requirements. They're stackable, nestable, and compatible with palletization to optimize space usage and transport efficiency. They're designed to be reused up to 25 times, potentially reducing carbon impact by up to 60%, but it does rely on multiple reuse for those numbers to be really beneficial. In addition, the use of durable containers contributes to improved product protection during transit, with the company reporting a 97% reduction in product damage and associated food waste, and that is sensational. That is a really big change. Next up, and I put this in because this is quite different, and I'm not entirely aware, not entirely sure of the commercial potential commercial success of this solution, but I just thought this is a really innovative way of tackling reuse. So this is a design company called Peelware, and they've introduced a reusable paper plate concept made from peelable layers. Each plate comprises 20 compressed layers of paper, 50 peelable top layers, and 5-layer structural base, which allows users to remove the soiled surface after each use to reveal a fresh one beneath. Now, I guess this could be used in food services. I question how consumers would feel about being presented with their food where the product hasn't been hygienically clean. So I've included that because I just feel that there may be a really good idea in there. I just don't think it's quite there yet. It could be reused up to 15 times. I mean, effectively, it's still single use. It's just you're layering each one each time, and a pack of templates offers 150 reuses, for example. We're now going to switch to the patent zone, and a company from Japan called Seishido, and they've created a 2-part container that makes it easier to use refillable packaging. The system includes an outer and inner container that holds the product. At the top of the outer container is a ring-shaped bump that goes around the opening. The inner container has a wide rim at the top and a hanging section that drops down from it. The container stands out with its unique inner-outer locking system, using flexible engagement pieces for secure tool-free assembly. So to summarize refill and reuse, we're moving away from niche to more infrastructural changes. So that support logistics, cleaning, tracking, and digital deposits. So scale increasingly depends on infrastructure partnerships rather than individual product redesigns. So it's all about the next point, which is standardization over customization, brand owners and retailers working together to deliver reuse models this is the best. This is the vision rather than reality, I think. Standardized formats in terms of cups, crates, bottles, captures, that work across multiple brands and locations. Economics are driven by regulation. PPWR and EPR is influencing refill and reuse strategy. And consumer behavior has to be recognized, and it's shaped by, it needs to be, whatever system is in place, it has to be convenient. Now over to paperization. There's been a big trend over the last few years. We've seen lots of switches from paper, from plastic and other materials into paper. The first is Tungate, and this is an atypical example of what we're seeing, sort of paper laminate ranges. So this is the TG3 range of curbside recyclable paper laminates, and these laminates are designed for high performance applications across multiple pack formats and incorporate metallized sealer side films to deliver strong water vapor barrier properties. All materials used in the TG3 range are FSC certified and designed with high-speed line performance in mind. Next up is from Pakistan. We don't feature that many innovations from the Pakistan market. But here we have Volca Food International, and they've transitioned its Boom Boom chewing gum range to a recyclable paper-based packaging format with a business that's very familiar, Cola Paper. They do a lot of paper packaging solutions with their Next Coat Smart M metallized barrier paper, developed to replace plastic films in flexible food packaging. Next up, we have Kavaris, and have introduced a new packaging innovation that significantly reduces plastic use in food trays called the Barrier Fresh Board. It replaces vacuum skin packaging. The plastic film, although integral to product protection, is minimal and designed to be easily separated from the board to facilitate recycling. The tray aims to meet increasing market demand for packaging with a lower environmental benefit, which they can support whilst retaining essential food safety and shelf life benefits. Now we're seeing lots of examples of this in the market, and if you've been to the supermarket anytime recently, you will have seen a few of these examples on the shelves. Last up is from the patent zone, and this is Mondi, very familiar business to us all, and they patented a type of paper designed for wrapping tray-packed products aimed to improve durability and moisture resistance. The paper is made from a water-based mixture containing cellulose fibers and some other additives not defined. One side of the paper is compressed using a strong linear force, which changes the surface and strengthens the material. A key feature is that the paper is made to have a wet tensile strength index of at least a very high wet tensile strength index. This is useful in supply chains where packs may face humidity or condensation challenges. So in terms of paperization, paper is moving into applications once considered plastic only. Advances in coatings, barriers, and fiber engineering are enabling paper to be used for things like liquids, greasy foods, pharmaceuticals, and moisture-sensitive products like not before. Hybrid structures are very much in place, so plastic still plays a role. Paper-based packs still rely on plastic or aluminium layers to deliver barrier performance. Recyclability and consumer perception are still key, so there's no point switching to a paper-based solution, in my opinion, if it's not going to be recyclable. And operational fit paperization solutions now run on existing machinery and are very much sort of for the now and for the permanent future. Okay, so now I'd like to switch and introduce you to Uli, who is product manager at Micvac. They deliver impact cooking and pasteurization technology that are unique in the food industry. Andrew is a customer of Micvac and has been running Stirling Potatoes for the last 18 years. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Over to you, Uli.
Yes, thanks. So hi, everyone. Today we'll share a little bit about what is the ready meal market right now and what is the best way we as Micvac see and how the industry can fulfill the needs and wishes of customers, retailers, and own operations of food manufacturers. So I'll start sharing my screen. Yeah. So if we briefly dive in, there are different aspects affecting what is in the consumer's mind, in the retailer's plans, and in the packaging industry. On the consumer side, convenience is still a key aspect as we're still living in a fast-paced society. But people are now looking more into being aware of what is the health impact of what they're eating. And the feel of guilt of eating ultra-processed foods, especially in this category, is very high. They are looking into having more transparency from the food manufacturers on the ingredients and how meals are made. And at the same time, they have tight budgets and are looking for alternatives to eating in restaurants and takeaway food. Some current trends include high protein meals, GLP-1 user small meals, and something that is growing is kids meals that are actually healthy and good. On top of this, the retailer has the challenge of keeping affordable prices, reducing food waste in their operations, and to align any communication regarding sustainability to the new strict directive that makes it more challenging to make environmental claims. And for the packaging industry, as many of you might be aware and tired of hearing, we have PPWR, EPR fees with eco-modulation and annual changes in classification of materials, with the final goal of having fully recyclable or all reusable packaging by 2030. So we see that now more than ever, the market is asking for less processed, affordable ready meals with no compromises, not for consumers, retailers, or food manufacturers. So if we look at what are the alternatives of manufacturing these meals, the standard way of doing this in the UK is the cook and chill method, where you obtain high quality but shorter shelf life of meals, 10 days max. There is also retarded meals that have long shelf life but lower quality as they are compromising in taste and texture and colors of the food due to the long processing times. And then we have Micvac, a new way of producing ready meals that can deliver high quality meals with great food experience, taste, texture, and longer shelf life to deliver further convenience, support food waste reduction, and more effective supply chains. We are a company that delivers a system solution that allows you to make meals without trade-offs. You might be asking yourself how this works, because it sounds like a magical solution. So first you fill the tray with fresh ingredients. The tray is then sealed, and then it enters to the Micvac tunnel, where a steam vent is pierced and the cooking process starts. We cook and pasteurize a meal for around 7 minutes. During this time, the food heats up and we monitor that it has gone through a 98 degrees for at least 2 minutes, which is equivalent to the 90-10 standard process to ensure food safety for long shelf life products. And then the meal is closed with the Micvac valve and transported for cooling. So the result is a meal with superior taste, preserved vitamins as the cooking process is so short, and long shelf life without the need for preservatives in a monomaterial packaging. So what do consumers think about this? We have started to conduct some more updated consumer research, and we did this with 100 ready meal purchasers in the UK. And consumers said that meals made with Micvac were significantly more appealing than the ones made with traditional methods, which translates to Micvac being the preferred method they want to see in their supermarkets. The reason for this is that consumer wants products without preservatives that last longer than the standard in their fridges and that still taste as fresh. So now I will give the virtual floor to Andrew Stirling, who is currently delivering premium mashed potato produced with the Micvac technology to Aldi in Scotland.
I introduce myself. My name's Andrew Stirling. I run a family farm on the east coast of Scotland, and my wife and my 4 children all work in the business, along with another 55 people. We grow potatoes and cereals up on the east coast of Scotland, and over a period of time, we have grown to supply various retailers with various produce, between washed potatoes, dirty potatoes. And as time moved on, we were looking for something more to do. And specifically for me, it was for potatoes and mashed potatoes. And we came across Micvac, which because it had the shelf life, this is something that appealed to us, because at the moment the standard area of days is, has been repeated, is 5 to 10 days for shelf life. And what we discovered with Micvac, we could guarantee at least 30, if not 60 days shelf life with the Micvac process. This meant that we were not going to be producing something that was going to be in a race to the bottom with all the other folk who were supplying the retailer. But the most exciting part of it all was the fact that we did not need to use any form of preservatives. We didn't have to retort it, so it meant that the food was in a form of broken down more, so it was still very fresh. And with all our various taste tests, that worked very well. So what we did was we got in touch with Micvac. We went over to visit, and one of the things that we really were impressed with was where we went to see a factory who was producing meals. Was not only that, they had a place where they sold meals, where you walked into the shop and it had a dining area. You chose the meal, they cooked it, and they served it up on a plate. And with a little bit of garnish, you really would have thought there was a chef in the background creating these meals, and it wasn't actually a microwaved meal. So we took this back to Scotland and we decided that this was the way forward for ourselves. We decided to use potato as our main product in the Micvac. So we started with mashed potato, but we decided also to take the potato product forward by introducing about 7 or 8 different flavors, from cheesy mash to mustard mash, etc. So we managed to take this forward to one of the retailers that we were working with, and we put the product, the mashed potato, into them for something like 6 months. And over that 6 months, they discovered that they saved 93% on the food waste in their store, which was quite a fantastic number. It really meant that in relative terms, it didn't really matter how good or bad their store stock person was. Here was a product that they had shelf life that they really were never going to throw out. So we thought this was really a great way forward and we're really excited. But then we discovered that we were too expensive to compete with the cheaper products that were on the shelf. This was a bit disappointing because in relative terms, we understand how Micvac works, we understand the cost that goes into it, and for ourselves. So we stood our ground with the supermarkets, but eventually we managed to come to a point where we agreed to do a trial where we took a hit and the supermarkets paid more. We went in with the luxury brand of an upper-dizer mashed potato, and it was going to sit on the shelf alongside the standard mash that Aldi were bringing up from England. And they expected us to sell maybe 10-15% because it was going to be more expensive. What turned out was we are probably the one that's picked off the shelf all the time. So we're probably selling something like 90% the mash compared with the other one. This has led to the realization of food waste. So the next stage this takes you to is they had 93% saving. What was the housewife having? Now, what we all realize now is they're able to buy our product and store it in the fridge and have it as a go-to over the next 3-4 weeks because they have that shelf life. What we've also done with the products that we're creating, we're doing it in a more basic way. Our mash is mashed in a more hands-on approach than what the majority of them all put them through puree machines. So we're trying to give it back to the old traditional, your grandmother's food that you would enjoy. We've taken this further forward by we have a farm shop now on our farm, and we're able to use and make various products that are selling very well. So we have stew products, we have traditional Scottish stovies, we're able to make macaroni, we're able to make soups. And the wonderful thing for even my farm shop is that we have time to sell it. So the main thing for us is the shelf life that we're able to create. Not only does that help in production, because we can store and we have a period of time instead of it having to be made every other day and having a race to get it to the store. The reduction in the food waste is absolutely phenomenal, but we still have this barrier that we're up against, which is really the retail side of what they're going to have to pay for it. So I think that in the slow progression of realizing the food waste and realizing that we need to try and do something about food waste, because I think there is almost a story that in relative terms, if food waste was a country, it would be the third largest in the world, which is quite a scary thought. If I go on to where we started, we had to we had to understand that sales were going to be slow. So the investment was a lot, but it was a slow start. It took connections with retail helped. We also supply a lot of farm shops, and we have other distributors that put out. And this has happened. It's taken 2 or 3 years to build up the business with people out with retail, the smaller places. We've discovered is the smaller shops can now sell a quality product without worrying about paying too much and then having to sell it in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Now they have time. And that is also a very, very important part to it. The real cost to the retailer and to the person selling, they're having to pay a little bit extra, but I think the customer in the classic way is happy to pay this little bit more. I think an example almost is where people go into a supermarket and they go to buy milk or go to buy a product that is not going to have a lot of shelf life. They will look to the back of the shelf and try and steal the one that has one more day shelf life instead of the one at the front the supermarket's trying to push out. So this is really excellent from the shelf life point. The other point that we were concerned slightly was with it being vacuumed and having the 30 to 60-day shelf life, was this going to affect the food? Was this going to affect the product that we had inside? So we've done taste tests over 30, over 60, over 90 days, and we've seen no change with any of the products we're using. So that's a very positive uh, part to this. And one of the other things is we are saying we have about a 30-day shelf life, but it is actually, we've been testing over 90 days and the product with microbiology is perfectly okay. Taste testing is perfectly okay. But one of the things to begin with, if you're introducing it into a new area, you maybe keep the shelf life down so that people do not think you've done something to it. It's got something added to it. And I think you gain people's trust. And as you gain the buyer's trust, then you start to extend the shelf life up so that everybody gets the positive from it. But basically, at the end of the day, this whole thing has been a huge game changer for us. It's taken time, it's taken hard work, and I think slowly we're starting to see the retailers are showing more interest. At the moment, we're speaking to 2 other retailers that hopefully we can get into it. And I think retail tends to work when they look over the fence to see what the other ones are doing. That's when they start to move, and maybe we can get this moving faster. So I think I'll hand back to Paul and Uli.
Thank you very much. Uli, do you want to say anything more, or should we crack on with the next section?
I can add maybe that it is true that when you're introducing a new product, it's always a challenge. Then you need to approach retailers and to really pitch your ideas, Andrew was mentioning. And it's also economies of scale when you're just starting to produce small quantities. Then, of course, the price can be a challenge in the introduction. And as you grow, then economies of scale help. So the more Micvac customers, the bigger volumes, and everything becomes more competitive. And we have the business cases for that too. So our ambition is to work with the potential manufacturers to look at the numbers, look together, and then support everyone to get into the retail to really do this ready meal revolution that we want to achieve, to really challenge what is the norm.
And could I come in, Uli? One of the things I would say to anybody who's going to work with you is you've been extremely supportive of us, extremely supportive. And if we've had to make adjustments to machines, it's either been done online or somebody's literally there with us within a day or two. So there's no concern about the fact that you're in Sweden. Your backup and your service is superb.
Our customers are like our partners. We're here in this
Yes.
together. We are, yeah. So I'm very happy that you feel like that, Andrew.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
That's very good news, that indeed.
Fine.
Okay, so switching back over to looking at some packaging innovations. Just checking my mic's on. Yes. We got three sections to cover. I will cover these quite briefly. I think you can get the sentiment of these. So the first one is just giving you an indication of some of the sort of the innovations that we're tracking. This is rice straw and citrus pruning waste from Aimplas in Spain. The initiative was funded by the Valencian Innovation Agency. And the core objective of the project was to reduce the high production costs traditionally associated with converting biomass into bioplastics. Next up is a company most people will be familiar with is Nopla. Just turning off Andrew's video. I don't think he realised that was on. Nopla, and they partnered with Imperial College London to introduce their quite famous seaweed-based home compostable food service packaging. So Nopla are doing a great job expanding their landing with a solution which is about barrier. So they've had a number of different iterations of the Nopla solution, but barrier is very much where it's at. So the partnership aims to eliminate over 450,000 tons of single-use plastic containing packaging, and expected to avoid nearly 14,000 kilograms of associated carbon emissions. Next up, I put this in because this is kind of like, we may have seen this before on LinkedIn, sometimes it pops up. Just as the other extremes, really, in terms of low volume, high relative cost to deliver, but just showing you how bio-based materials can actually be delivered in many different ways. This is from Thailand, and as you can see, this is fresh produce produced by wrapping fruit and vegetables in banana leaves. Their natural properties, large size, flexibility, strength, and water resistance due to a waxy surface make them ideal for packaging applications without requiring additional processing. Lots of hand packing there, though. And they still require a couple of labels, which to sort of add to the lack of bio-based, if that makes sense. Last up is Naked Pack, they're a New York-based company, and they've got an edible algae-based packaging film, which dissolves in hot water while the food is being cooked, offering an alternative to single-use plastic in dry and frozen meal packaging. So in terms of bio-based, it's a real shift. Bio-based materials are increasingly designed to match or exceed the mechanical barrier and thermal performance of conventional plastics. Feedstock diversification, innovation is expanding away from food crop inputs towards agricultural residues and byproducts. Developers are engineering inherent properties such as barrier performance, antimicrobial behavior, or heat resistance. And many bio-based systems are now designed to run on existing converting, filling, and recycling infrastructure. Production strategies. We've seen quite a few sort of label-free initiatives. I mean, this could actually be a recycling initiative in that it improves recycling rates. Basically, what you got here is a laser-etched alternative to labels. Works best, in my opinion, in secondary packaging applications where the primary packaging can still do all the consumer communication. This is Amcor, and they've released an alternative to cheese blocks, which are normally have been non-recyclable and multi-material. These PP film is designed to be recyclable within polypropylene flexible film streams. Amcor reports a 63% reduction in carbon footprint for the new pack compared to the previous format. Here we have PPAC in Italy, and they've produced. They haven't changed material formats; they've just made the product lighter, basically. So this is 50% lighter than conventional supermarket heat-sealed nets. The PPAC maintains strength and can hold up to 2.5 kilograms of fruit and veg. Last up is from our patent zone, so Syntogen, and they've introduced a flexible bag, and a cardboard sleeve to improve how products, especially food items, are displayed and protected. The product sits inside a flattened plastic bag, which is then wrapped with a cardboard sleeve. The cardboard has a base that lets the pack stand out, and the design helps save on materials because it uses less cardboard than a full box, but it also gives pack structure and makes it easier to stand upright. So in terms of the sort of the main overviews for reduction, lightweighting has become a default design discipline. I don't think I'm surprising anyone with that statement. Functional integration, closures, actuators, labels, secondary components are increasingly designed into single elements or eliminated entirely. So it's done it's not retrofitted, it's done from the start. Moving from rigid to flexible, eliminating headspace or redesigning pack shape frequently delivers significant material reductions. So that's often better than or easier than actual marginal lightweighting alone. And reduction is now driven as much by cost, regulation, and operations as sustainability. So last but not least, we're going to be looking at recycling and recycled content. This is a huge section. I would suggest, without looking at the data, half of the innovations on the Innovation Zone are to do with recycling or recycled content initiatives. So this is from Italy, and we have a new packaging format for the extra virgin olive oil range in a squeeze bottle made entirely from recycled PET. And the shift to rPET aligns with the company's broader goals to transition to full PET format portfolios. Olive oil is it's a very traditional premium sector. Some of the products are relatively expensive compared to other food items, often in heavy glass. So the move to a squeezable, easy to use plastic format is a significant statement, and we are seeing a few brands in this space moving to that category, to that format. Stoke Sauces, they've introduced a fully recyclable pack for their entire sachet range. The new film used for the sachets is recyclable through supermarket collection points. And then they're basically replacing, these are big sachets, by the way. The smaller ones are still very problematic in recycling systems. These are replacing 485-gram plastic bottles. The recyclable sachets retain the brand's standard 40-gram portion size and now feature updated branding and logo designs. We now move to Spain and Lecter. They've introduced the Micvac ice cream, a metallized paper developed as a recyclable, flexible packaging solution for the frozen food sector. Again, seeing lots of sort of paper-based. In this case, it got a metallized element, but which still fulfills most recyclable paper and cardboard recycling systems. Last but not least, we go back to the patent zone and Pacor from Germany, and they've created a container that combines a cardboard outer layer with a plastic inner layer aimed at holding portioned food while making it easier to separate materials after use. One of the challenges of some of these paper solutions is the plastic that needs to be replaced to be recycled is often quite hard to remove. So this is just really showing the kind of, it's not just innovations coming through to the Innovation Zone. There are developments in our patent zone that are hopefully hitting supermarket shelves at some point soon. So to summarize the recycling and recycled content overview and the fifth and final segment, recyclability is being designed in. So packaging is increasingly engineered from the outset to work in real recycling systems. That's no surprise. Recycled content is becoming a baseline, not a differentiator. Brands are moving from one-off rPET or RPPP packs to broader portfolio level adoption. Recyclable and recycled content packaging is delivering convenience, durability, and shelf appeal, showing that circularity no longer requires trade-offs. And it's all about operational simplicity. So solutions that integrate seamlessly with existing filling, sealing, and logistics systems are scaling the fastest. So hopefully that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour. That's one of my favorite sayings, but I've given you 30 new packaging innovations from the last month from our Innovation Zone and Patent Zone platforms. I'm now delighted to welcome back Uli and Andrew. If your camera's working, I will stop sharing my screen. If not, we can still, I think that's still the best way to do it. So we've had some nice questions. Andrew, your screen was working earlier, about 10 minutes ago.
It's saying that you've disabled it.
Oh, right. Okay. I did that because
Still on.
you were showing when
Correct.
right. Sorry. Uli, are you able to see how to
How to enable Andrew's camera?
It's just saying that the host
yeah,
has
okay.
disabled.
I cannot do anything with Andrew's profile, I believe.
Okay. Just bear with me a second. Right, if I ask a question and then I can work it out whilst you're answering. How about that? So first question is, I mean, the technology sounds really interesting. Why haven't I seen products made with Micvac at places like Tesco, for example?
So
Yeah.
will I answer that one, Uli?
I can start and then you can add on it.
Okay, you can do the diplomatic answer.
Yeah, I mean, it has been some years since Micvac has been in the Swedish market, and we are leading technology for the Nordic countries. But we see that this is growing, and we want to grow in the British ready meal market. As you heard, Stirling Potatoes is supplying in Scotland. We have Press Health Foods that is supplying to the British market through Ocado, if I pronounce it correctly.
Yes.
So we see that there's more and more of this, but we would really love to see even more at Tesco, M&S, Morrison's, more at Aldi. I mean, we really are looking for, growing and supporting anyone else that would like to engage into having this technology out there.
Okay, excellent. Andrew asked a question around sort of the shelf life, and there's a real challenge about having a shelf life that seems too long, that seems too good to be true. Can you maybe Uli answer this one? I mean, what is the typical shelf life for example? Actually, either of you answer this. What is a typical shelf life for the mashed potato, and can it be stored ambient or refrigerated?
All the product has to be stored filled, and a typical area that we work in is 15 to 30 days shelf life, and it can be more. The basic part of why it's probably not in most retailers is because it's more expensive. And at the moment, unfortunately, we are in a little bit of a race at the moment. They're all competing to try and be more competitive. It's possibly been at a time where people don't have so much money to spend from that point of view. But it is a quality product. And I think slowly, as I said before, more and more start to use it, then it will become the norm. But that's taking a bit of time.
Yeah, okay. Uli, do you add anything to that?
I think that Andrew's answer is very well.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So another question. Can the Micvac Flex process be replicated, for example, in a pouch or doy format, or is it only applicable to tray formats currently?
So I can answer that one. So the Micvac method can be applied in pouch and thermoformer formats as with the legacy technology. And we actually have a customer in the UK that is making corn in flexible formats. What we don't have yet fully developed and deployed is a pouch format that is monomaterial and fully recyclable with the flex process. But we're open on finding partners to doing this development. So it's not something that we have said that we're not going to do. It's more on, okay, it's who is the one that is going to get this first into the British market. And we're open for doing that project together.
Okay.
I would say that. And of course, the tray formats, that has been I would say the one that is mainly used across Europe on all our biggest customers.
Okay. So another question around R&D. So I guess, and I've been to your facilities. R&D or continuous improvement activities are very much on your agenda. So you're always looking at what the next iteration can be. Is that fair to say, Uli?
Yeah, exactly. And we have a department that is projects and innovation. So they're constantly looking and being fed with what we find from customers, retailers, trends into what is the next thing. Okay, now we need a monomaterial packaging. Okay, we will get it done. We
Yeah.
need to deliver this. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's always looking forward to 2030, 2035, 2040,
Yeah.
whatever you need it.
Brilliant. Absolutely. So questions around sort of, inevitably sustainability comes to mind. So, question around what materials are used in your tray and lidding film? Any additives which inhibit recyclability?
That's a great question. So for the tray is polypropylene, no EVOH needed actually, so it's just polypropylene. And the lidding film, it is monomaterial lidding film with OPP CPP combination, and it is designed to be recyclable, including all the restrictions with the barrier properties. So achieving the barrier properties, including the restrictions that you have on additives and other materials, and following the we work closely with those suppliers also to be able to follow the CEFLEX guidelines, and we're looking into what is the next guidelines that are going to come from the EU. So we are really on top of this because we want to ensure that everything that we design is recyclable.
Okay. One sort of significant point of difference, in my opinion, is the way the valve makes a very discernible noise at a certain point in time in the cooking process, which basically alerts the consumer that the product is ready to eat.
Yeah.
Do some of your clients, do some of the brands use that as a selling point, as a sort of point of difference? As a piece of utility, if you like, something extra that other packs wouldn't have?
Some of
Usefulness?
they do, yes, some of they do, and something that is even, I would say, a convenience factor for the consumer is that you don't need to pierce the ready meal when you're going to be reheating it into the microwave. You put it as it is into the microwave, so it is the bulb. The benefit of the bulb is also included in the fact that you don't need to pierce the film. And also, if you want to have the whistling sound as something that is a selling point, you can do that too.
Okay. And can that whistling sound be modified or changed? Could a brand have a unique sound or unique, is that a thing? I don't know.
We're
It's,
open to,
yeah.
to develop more things because we are also investing in resources into understanding more how to control the whistling sound. We have some bulbs that don't whistle too,
Yeah.
if that is a wish
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
But
We've
it's
we've
also part of the project, I would say.
we've tried to get it to do Flower of Scotland up here, but it doesn't whistle that yet.
Do you stand up on every time you have a mashed potato meal?
One of the other parts of the whistling, which we do add into the information, is when it starts to whistle, you give it 30 seconds and then it's ready. So
Okay.
it's also a point of telling you when your product, because some of the products that you will put in they don't all need the same time. So sometimes you could spoil a meal if you put it in for 4 minutes when maybe you only needed 3 minutes. So the whistling is actually telling you that's now the steam coming out, that the product just needs another 30 seconds.
Okay.
Mm.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Um, Either one of you could answer this question, actually. It's about implementing Micvac. So how do you implement Micvac? Do you have to buy and install new machinery, or can it be retrofitted to existing packing machinery?
That's a
New,
great one, I would say.
new
Uh,
machinery.
yeah.
It it is a new concept. There is certain parts that you can buy from the depositing to the trays to sealing the trays, but then Micvac takes over with the cooking side of the product. So maybe before and after you can use different machines, but you really do need to be compatible to make sure it gets the best out of the Micvac side.
Okay.
Exactly. And there are different ways of starting up. So either you want to have your own facility and make your own ready meals, or we have customers that can produce for you if you want to start in that way with co-manufacturing, for example. So it really depends. And regarding the factory, we also support you in planning, okay, what is your current layout? How can we fit the Micvac line into this? Or if you want to create a new factory, we're also involved there. We help you with the business case. We help you in, how are we going to connect this with the tray sealer, and what are the tray sealer manufacturers that you currently work with? So we are there for the whole project, basically. We start with basic RD kit. So you start with some testing some ready meals. How does the concept work, and how does it behave with the food? Maybe you have already some recipes that we want to test. So you get an RD kit, very easy to just do some small testing, and then it's like, okay, how do we start the line? Then we're talking about the project.
Excellent. Question for Andrew. With the Micvac offering, does that give you different options in terms of the kind of product you can sell? Like just because it's pasteurized and it's longer life and stuff like that. Are you able to sort of offer different recipes that you wouldn't normally be able to do?
Yeah, what it really did for us was for going back to that we're actually a farming family and grow cereals and potatoes, and we were washing and packing potatoes, and we were peeling potatoes and vegetables as well. And we went into the cook process side, and this was just another way of us taking it forward. And what we're actually discovering is, in relative terms, the humble potato can be eaten in so many different ways instead of just what's being supplied off the shelf and waiting for a processing company to suggest. We've been able to go out there, and for instance, at the moment in Aldi, they're doing a promotion of our haggis mash. So it's mashed potato with a haggis mix for this burn supper period
Oh,
that we
wow.
have in January.
Mm.
And on top of that, it could be black pudding. It really can, you can come up with a lot of different things. I can almost tell you that I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I know we're actually looking at doing tikka masala mash at the moment. And when you start to realize what you can do with spices, etc., there's a whole lot of different things. That then moves into pasta, it moves into soups, it moves into so many different things you can work with. So there is opportunity for a whole lot of different food areas that could use this process to get the shelf life, which then saves on food waste.
Brilliant. Okay. Really excellent. I mean,
If I can add on
sorry,
the,
yeah, absolutely, Ellie, sorry.
maybe you wanted to repeat the question that just arrived in the Q&A, but it's about this. If
Oh, yeah,
you
I'll say it. It's easier if I say it and then you can answer it. Yeah, so what products are already sold in Micvac? Simply one ingredient, like the potato example, or multi-part ready meals? And Andrew started to already answer that. So can they be made with multiple cavities, e.g.,
Yes.
rice and a sauce?
yes.
Yes, you can do two compartments. So there's a lot of different things you can do.
Exactly. And we have a customer in the UK, Na Foods, Calorie Watchers. They have several brands, but they are making, for example, two compartment tikka masala with rice. So it really depends what are the recipes you want to do. We have a round tray if you want to do soups. Here in Sweden, we have ramen that is being sold in the round trays. So yeah, it's up to what is in your agenda too.
Okay. And what this may not be a quick question to answer, Uli, but who do you think is a typical Micvac consumer in terms of the ready meal market? There is a
Well,
certain demographic that it appeals to more than others, maybe, or is it quite broad?
yeah, I would say that it might depend. At least in Sweden, it's the norm to have Micvac as a standard ready meal option. So I would say that anyone that would like to have a ready meal that doesn't have all these nasty ingredients or additives will just grab a Micvac meal. So, but if I think about what is the positioning of each company, that for example, Press Health Foods, they're looking for people that are more into high protein, full meals, more nutrition oriented and very health conscious. So that is their niche. So it really depends what is the strategy of the brand owner, I would say. You can do something that is very staple, the standard food, or you can do something that is very niche, clean label, or same with the GLP-1 user ready meals. It's a 200-gram small tray that has everything that you need. So I would say it depends on the positioning and targeting of the brand. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I, I
Excellent.
think I think with our customers, we're trying to stay at the higher end and keep quality with what we're selling. So people are able to buy a different mash and say, for instance, they take that home and they will cook it with the meat. So they still do a little bit of cooking, but they're not having to wait too long on something. Or what we've also found with our farm shop, where the lesser products that we don't do through the main factory, where if it's a beef stew or if it's a soup or if it's mashed potatoes with mince or some Scottish traditional meals, they come in and actually buy them and they will keep them in their fridge. It may mean because they're a single person. It may mean that it saves on even the waste of somebody who traditionally wants to make a meal, but they would have to buy a kilo of potatoes, a kilo of something else. It's all made up in one, and it's made in a good farming traditional way. And it also means it can be kept in the fridge and drawn down at their convenience because they've got that shelf life. And one other last thing about it is also our stuff is around 400 grams. So it's actually portion control as well. So literally, if you are trying to lose a little bit of weight, once you've finished the 400 grams, that's it. You can't go back to the pot and pull some more out of
Yeah,
it.
that's a good point. Yeah. Excellent. One last question for Andrew. We're right up to the hour. If you're a retailer or a food producer, what should they do? What did you do to sort of make this happen?
To make it to persuade the retailer,
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
I think at the end of the day, what we decided was this was the way forward for us. And then we had to go through the process of looking at what else was in the market. And what we wanted to do was to produce good quality. So I could give you an example at the moment. I don't mind saying it. If you go into most retailers at the moment, they have cheesy mash. Some of the cheesy mash that's in the retailers, the only reason it's cheesy for you is because it says cheese on the packet. They've actually produced something to try and get to the price point, and they actually haven't produced cheesy mash. So, for instance, at the moment, most of them are all sitting about 8, 9, 10%. Our cheesy mash, I think, is up at 15, 16%. And when we were trying to do the costing, and I was involved, and I was saying that's too expensive. But when we reduced it, it just didn't taste good enough. So what we're going for is a good quality product. So when you eat it, that's cheesy. Maybe we lose business over that for a while, but I think it's about sticking to what you believe in. And if you have a good product, then Micvac is something that really can take you forward.
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much. We're up on the hour. Uli and Andrew, thank you very, very much. We've got a couple of extra questions which will get answered, Uli, and we'll get that distributed to everyone on the webinar. Our next webinar will be next month. The recording of this will be made available to everyone that's registered by tomorrow and will be on the PackHub's platform by tomorrow as well. So I'd finally like to thank you all very much for your attention today and look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.